Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome to the next live match. This week we're heading to Barbie Banks Fishery near Rugby. So Barbie Banks is a really popular venue, sort of in between Daventry and Rugby, in a nice little area out in the sticks. Very, very good venue. Now, it used to be like 100 odd peg snake lake. It's all divided up a little bit now, but there's still loads of pegs on it. It's an absolutely massive lake. And it's one of them venues that I really have fond memories of, because when I first started at DHP on Match Fishing magazine, I used to do lots of tackle testing on there. And when I was a single guy, I used to live with Tom at the time, Tom Scully, and I used to go there on an evening and practice. We used to have evening matches there. And it's just one of those venues. It's always been really, really nice to fish. For some reason, it's just, whenever I think of places to go, I don't think of going to Barbie, and it's a shame because it's such a good venue. The fishing's amazing. Anyway, I was trawling the internet looking for a Tuesday match, and I found Barbie Banks was having Tuesday matches. And I thought, do you know what? Yeah, let's go to Barbie. It would make a nice change. It's snake lake fishing for carp, so a little bit different to the norm where you see like with the F1s and stuff on snake lakes. This is all carp fishing, and it's really enjoyable. Hard fishing at times, but can be really good fishing as well. So Barbie Banks is this week's live match. So Barbie Banks, well, the last time I fished there with any sort of regularity, there was like mud lines on the far side, it was shallow water, a lot of edge fishing. Anyway, a chance text to Steve Ringer, who goes there a lot on features. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, I'm just going to fish mud line, front to back, and catch loads of fish. Anyway, a chance text to Steve Ringer the other day, and I said, oh, I'm off to Barbie. Get my bait ready, get my rigs ready for a bit of mudline fishing. And a text came back with words to this effect: you'll be lucky, it's quite deep against the island these days. I thought, I'm sure to find some shallow water. Anyway, I drew peg 56, which is a peg that's almost like in a little pond on its own. There's 3 pegs in this little pond. There's a bridge to my left, and then a narrow sort of spit to my right. Almost like you've got your own little lake. As soon as I drew out, Richard, the owner, looked at you. Oh, that's a challenge, that one. But it didn't matter. It looked good to me. Anyway, I put the plummet on, trying to find 18 inches of water. Yeah, good luck with that. It's pretty much 3 foot wherever you put it. It's 30 inches, tight against the bank in 2 spots, and then everywhere else is the same depth, 3 foot. There is no shallow water against the island anymore, so certainly not where I drew anyway. So as I'm setting up, I'm thinking, right, what I wanted to fish was like meat and meat mush against the island in shallow water. But as soon as I plumbed up, I thought, I'm not sure that's going to work today. So as I'm plumbing up, I'm thinking about my best course of action. So I decided to go down the hard pellet route. I thought it's probably going to be my best option with a peg that's so deep across. I can't see me controlling the fish any other way. There were some pads in front of me, potential for a bit of shallow fishing maybe at some point, but from the vibes I was getting, there was no fish moving, and from what everyone kept saying to me as they were walking by, was like, yeah, you could be in for a bit of a tough day here. But with that being said, I kicked off on the long pole against the island, hard pellets just rattling in 4 mils. Actually, I got some indications pretty quickly. But often pegs like this are like that though, and you sort of expect to catch some fish in the first hour and it sort of fades away. But I got off to a good start. So we got several fish in the bag early doors. Again, just rattling in 4mm pellets. I went for 2 spots. I fished left and right of this pad, thinking that I could just nick fish all day off each one. It didn't actually work like that. The right hand one, for some reason, it was the same depth. It was touching the bank. It was 2 meters away from the other one. Just wasn't working. So whether the bulk of the little fish, I was catching quite small fish, like £1 to £3 carp. Whether the bulk of those lived in the corner where there was an odd reed, a bit of cover, a bridge, whether they just lived in that bit and I was sort of cutting them off to go past, maybe that's what was happening, but I just couldn't get any bite to my right. But interestingly, I used a 4x10 float across, which is considered light these days, with strung out shot, and it actually worked a treat. I could lay it in against the bank, which is really important with hard pellets, so I always had a tight line. But I was actually catching quite a lot of fish on the drop, so I'd like feed my bait with my pot, and if I didn't get a bite, I'd lift up, fire some bait in, flick the rig against the bank, let it come in, and I was getting them on the drop. So I thought, oh, I might even catch shallow over there. But for the time being, the 4x10 was working really nicely. I just used a Cypri, like I say, 16B911, 011, so nice and light. I used black zip to get them away from those dangerous looking pads. So my first hour was pretty plain sailing. I quickly realised that the right hand one wasn't going to work, so it was all about the left hand one. And in fact, the right hand one, I decided to change it to meat. I thought, do you know what, I'll just gamble and fish meat there. I plumbed up lots of other areas and stuff, but I hadn't needed them yet. I decided to start throwing an odd 6mm down the track, just in case I needed that. But to be honest, the left hand spot was quite good. Again, just feeding, laying my rig in. Wasn't big fish, but I was ticking along quite nicely, and I got to sort of 20 odd pound after an hour and a half, and I'm thinking, this is all right, this. But the match times are quite unusual. That you fish from 9:30 to 3 o'clock, which is in this day and age, quite an early match. Like normally you finish at 4 or even half 4, sometimes 5. A lot of the matches around here fish till 5. And it was getting sort of hour and a half in, so 11 o'clock, which is when most matches would start. And you can feel like the heat of the day taking hold, and where I was, there was no ripple whatsoever. And it just felt like my peg was waning. It was just fading to nothing. I'm getting less and less indications, catching odd little ratty skimmer. It just felt like it wasn't really happening. I was getting a lot of duck commotion. Not that I think the ducks bother them, but they were affecting how I was feeding the swim, essentially. So I'm like, I need somewhere else to fish, is what I'm thinking. I need somewhere else to go. So I decided to start plumbing up new spots. I rattled in some pellets up in 3 foot to my right. I thought there might be some fish coming in from my right. Rattled in some bait up there, but I foul hooked a couple up there. It never really happened. What else did I do? Went down a track, caught one down there. Not really a lot happening. Tried my meat. I tried my meat for ages. I went over on meat. I was feeding like meat mush with a bit of hemp mixed through it, with a 6mm cube on. What was happening with the meat was I'd sit there for 5 minutes and get a bow wave off it. Like, not even an indication, just get a random bow wave come out and peg like they were spooking. Really frustrating, that meat was. I felt like they were coming into it, but I just could not catch them. So I'm like really struggling really for inspiration. I can't really work out what to do. I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just ticking along. I can see the lads behind me in the wide bit. They were catching well at this point. I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? And to be honest, the only option was to just persevere on the hard pellet line, the left-hand one. But again, I'd go in, I'd rest it for a bit, I'd go in and catch 2 or 3 dead quick, and then it'd die again. And it was getting really annoying. I was like, what am I going to do here? I can't really string any fish together. I'm not really getting anywhere. So after 2 hours, I'm thinking, right, I don't know what to do for the best. I feel like I'm just rotating lines now and not really getting anywhere. So I'm rotating my lines, and it's just obvious that that left hand one is the line to be on today, and I've just got to take what comes. So what I found was best was, like I say, mixing up cattying and potting, but potting was definitely best, but cattying was good. Basically potting in my bait and then just sitting and waiting over it with a 6mm in the band was good. Laying it in, I'd catch another one on the drop. But what was quite frustrating was I needed somewhere else to go, and I mugged one, but there wasn't many muggers about. And then when I did get my little flurry on hard pellets, they were quite small, so it was getting quite annoying. If I'm being honest, I can see guys behind me catching shallow in the edge and stuff like that, and I'm like thinking, well, my peg's just not going to be good enough for that. I'm sort of almost like eking every fish out. It felt like that. Every bite was a bit of a success, really, or every fish. Especially in the hottest part of the day when it was getting really still. The only thing I thought I could maybe do is fish shallow to the pads. And I've been pinging odd pellets to the pads, and you know what that's like. Sometimes the fish are there anyway and you can catch pretty quickly up against like lily pads and stuff. So I decided to stop feeding the meat for a little bit, because I'd not even caught fish on that, and concentrate feeding pellets against the pads. And after a few minutes actually of feeding, I did start seeing the odd lily pad knocking. I don't mean like a lot, but an odd lily pad was knocking every time I fed. So I decided to give it a go. I used a 4x10 big head, and basically a 6mm in the band, 12 inches deep, and I decided to start slapping against the pads. So slapping got me a fish straight away. It took me a minute to get the hook one, and then I lost 3 in a row on it. And literally as soon as they were going, they were straight in the pads, which was really annoying. It was frustrating as hell, to be honest with you. But this is where that zip adjuster bead is really good. I could tighten my elastic really quickly. I didn't want it tight elsewhere, but I could just get enough to get the fish away, and I actually got a couple on that, getting them away from the pad straight away. But it was obvious again, not really happening. Wasn't really happening. couple of fish shallow, that was all. So we've got like an hour and a half to go now, and I've ticked along and I've got like 38 pounds, something like that, 40 pound. And I can see I'm well behind, but I feel like I'm doing well. I'm getting a lot of bites, I'm catching these small carp, just trying to have a really nice day, to be honest. And that hard pellet fishing was great across, albeit it didn't feel like a match winner. So I decided to feed the edge, put 2 pots of ground bait in the edge. I'd found one little spot where it was exactly 2 foot deep. Just a real little flat spot about a foot wide. Everywhere else was 3 foot, and then this one little spot. I thought, well, that's good. I'll put some ground bait on that. I can attack that. And then I just sort of got my head down on hard pellets for that last sort of hour and checking the edge occasionally. Like I said, the match finished at 3, which I felt was too early really to catch in the edge properly, but I might get an odd one. So I just decided to go through the motions on that hard pellet and just keep catching what I could. So with the match ticking away, I decided to go down the edge. I catch a little carp about that big, a little tiny baby one. Not really what we're after. But it felt like there was something there. Like I was getting a few movements which I felt were like carp. So I persevered with it, and then I got one, a decent clunker that tested the old green zip. So with that in the net, a good 5 pounder, which was a good fish for the day. I went straight back in. I potted another pot in, and it just never moved again. So it was a bit like, I always felt like I was on the back foot on this peg. It never felt like there was a lot of fish there. It felt like I was just eking out every fish, if that makes sense. And the edge just confirmed that. It was like there was one there, caught him, and it just felt flat after that. You can tell, can't you, because you start catching little roach and stuff, and I did, and yeah, it just never really felt right. So like 10 minutes to go, I'm back on that far side, and to its credit, that swim did me proud. It got me fish all day, that left-hand swim. Like I say, I'm just rattling in 4 mils, cad pot full every time, and then pinging an odd one over the top. And in the last 10 minutes, I caught 3 fish, like 3 nice fish as well, including one right on the whistle, which was probably the biggest fish of the day at probably 5 or 6 pound. So come the weigh-in, I weighed 79 pounds and ounces, which was enough for 4th on the day, which I actually was pleased about. I felt like I'd worked really hard at this peg and actually done all right. I think if I counted my fish, I had 37 fish for 79 pounds, so small stamp when you think the chap who won, Colin, who won, had 140 pounds, and he was catching like 8 and 10 pound carp in the edge. He caught in the edge all day on baits like meat and pellets and stuff, so really good, well done to him. A big, good win, a great weight on a tricky day. The fish were trying to spawn in certain areas of the lake. They were definitely ganging up for spawning. So that obviously affected the fishing, but at £140, there was a £103 or £104, there was a 92 and then my 79, and then it dropped off then, down to like 40s and £30 weights. So felt like I'd done quite well. The three best weights were in a small area on the main straight of the lake, if you like. I'll put a little map so you can get a visual of the lake. The main straight, where it's a bit wider, definitely seemed to hold more fish on this day. Whether they were going there for spawning, who knows. But I was pleased with that. Fourth, got my money back, got my entry money back, so a good day. Really enjoyed the fishing. I can't go next week, but I'm going to go the week after. I really enjoyed it. Lots of fish to catch, and it's that technical hard pellet fishing is really enjoyable, I find, and I feel like there's a knack to it at that venue. And I'm not saying I mastered it or anything, but I'm looking forward to going and giving it another go. So thanks to everyone who's watched and got through it. That's quite a few live matches in a row we've done now. I'm going to do a few more technical bits soon. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Get your comments in below. Where would you like to see me go and fish a match? In the local area, I'm sort of Northamptonshire, Leicestershire border, where I live. So local venues like Makins, Meadowlands, Tunnel Barn, Barston, Holly Farm, Shearsby Valley, Yokehill Farm, Barbie. Even a trip down to Alders Farm wouldn't go amiss. In fact, I need to go there. I might think about going there soon. So yeah, let me know where I fancy going, within reason, obviously. In this area, if you're local to this area, pick a few venues. There's even a place called Litchcote that I quite like the look of. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to get some kit ready for the weekend, and I'll see you again very soon.